What if the key to living a fulfilling life isn't about achieving more, but about learning to let go of the things that are holding you back? In a world full of distractions, expectations, and pressures, there are timeless Stoic lessons that men often learn too late, lessons that could save years of struggle, frustration, and regret. Imagine embracing failure as a stepping stone, saying no to protect your peace, and focusing on what truly matters: time, relationships, and mental health. In today's video, we'll dive into 5 powerful Stoic principles that can transform your life, help you become more resilient, and show you how to truly live with purpose. Let's uncover these life-changing insights, starting with the first lesson. If you're ready to level up your life, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on more Stoic wisdom to transform your mindset. Number 1. Embrace failure. In today's world, failure is often perceived as a negative experience, something that reflects poorly on us or signifies that we're not capable. We live in a culture where success is celebrated and failure is stigmatized. This mindset can be incredibly damaging, especially for men, who are often taught to suppress vulnerability and avoid showing any signs of weakness. But the Stoics offer us a radically different way of looking at failure, a way that can completely transform how we approach challenges and setbacks in life. The Stoic perspective on failure is not only liberating but empowering. They believed that failure is not a reflection of who we are, but rather a part of the natural process of growth and learning. In Stoicism, failure is not a destination, but a stepping stone. It's a signal that you've stepped out of your comfort zone, that you've taken a risk, and that you've been courageous enough to face something difficult. This shift in perspective allows us to embrace failure without fear, knowing that each failure is merely a lesson waiting to be learned. Consider the example of Thomas Edison, whose famous quote, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways. That won't work," embodies this very Stoic principle. Edison didn't see failure as a defeat. Instead, he saw every failure as a chance to gather information and refine his approach. For the Stoics, this is exactly how we should treat failure in our own lives. Instead of giving up or internalizing failure as a sign of personal inadequacy, we should ask ourselves, what did I learn from this experience? What could I have done differently? What strength or wisdom have I gained from facing this obstacle? Embracing failure as a teacher rather than an enemy is a powerful way to break free from the crippling fear of making mistakes. When you fail, you're given a unique opportunity to practice self-reflection, resilience, and adaptability, all key Stoic virtues. By focusing on what you can learn rather than beating yourself up, you begin to understand that failure is not only inevitable but necessary for growth. The Stoics also emphasize the importance of perspective. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This mindset is crucial in reframing failure. Life will inevitably throw challenges your way. You may fail many times in pursuit of your goals, but the true test is not in avoiding failure, but in how you respond to it. Do you allow it to defeat you and determine your worth? Or do you see it as an opportunity to adjust your approach, learn, and grow stronger? By practicing this Stoic view, you stop associating failure with shame. Instead, you start seeing it as an essential part of the learning process. The more you fail, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more you improve. And with each failure, you move one step closer to mastering your craft, achieving your goals, and becoming the best version of yourself. This shift in mindset also brings with it greater resilience. When you begin to see failure as a natural part of the journey, you become less afraid of taking risks. You understand that setbacks are not permanent, they are simply part of the process. Rather than being paralyzed by fear of failure, you begin to take action, pushing forward, learning, and growing with each step. The reality is that many successful men in history didn't achieve greatness because they avoided failure, but because they embraced it, learned from it, and kept moving forward despite it. They understood that setbacks were not a sign of defeat, but a necessary part of the path toward success. Stoic philosophy teaches us to adopt this same mindset in our own lives. Embrace failure, learn from it, and use it as fuel to keep growing. In phrase. Conclusion. Failure is not something to fear or avoid. It's a critical element in the process of personal growth and self-improvement. By embracing failure, we allow ourselves to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. We stop defining our worth by our setbacks, and instead, we see them as opportunities to learn and evolve. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In this sense, failure doesn't block our path. It clears the way for us to become better, more capable versions of ourselves. So the next time you fail, don't see it as a defeat. See it as a lesson, and take that lesson with you as you continue your journey. Number 2. Lifelong learning. In a world where technology is constantly advancing and the pace of change is relentless, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that once you've reached a certain level of expertise or achieved a particular milestone, you can stop learning. But the Stoics believed that the pursuit of knowledge should be a lifelong journey, and that true growth comes from continuously adapting and expanding our understanding of the world. They understood that learning is not something that happens in isolated bursts, but rather is a way of life, a practice that needs to be embraced at every stage of life. The concept of lifelong learning is not just about accumulating knowledge for the sake of it. It's about developing a mindset of curiosity that enables us to evolve with the world around us. The Stoics advocated for a mindset that is open, flexible, and always seeking to improve. In their view, there is always something new to learn, no matter how old or experienced you are. No one, no matter how wise, is ever done learning. The journey is ongoing, and the moment you think you know it all, you stop growing. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers and a Roman emperor, spent much of his life studying philosophy. Even while ruling one of the greatest empires in history, his constant study and reflection on Stoic principles helped him remain grounded and virtuous in the face of immense pressure and challenges. For Marcus, learning was an integral part of his personal development and leadership. It wasn't just about acquiring facts or skills. It was about deepening his wisdom, improving his character, and refining his understanding of life. The Stoics remind us that learning should not be confined to formal education or specific areas of study. It's a mindset. Every situation, every interaction, and every experience provides an opportunity for growth. Whether it's learning from a mistake, observing the behavior of others, or reading books that challenge your beliefs, the process of continuous learning can come from almost anywhere. By staying curious and open-minded, we create a mindset that is capable of adapting to new circumstances, solving problems more effectively, and embracing change rather than fearing it. Epictetus, Another prominent Stoic philosopher argued that true wisdom lies not just in what we know, but in how we respond to what we don't know. The more we learn, the more we realize how much there is still to discover. This humility before the vastness of knowledge helps prevent arrogance and allows us to stay receptive to new ideas. Epictetus famously said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This principle speaks directly to the value of learning from others. The more we listen and learn from different perspectives, the more we expand our understanding of the world. One of the key benefits of adopting a lifelong learning mindset is that it helps us become more adaptable. Life is full of surprises, challenges, and changes, and the ability to adapt is essential for navigating them successfully. A person who is constantly learning is someone who is always evolving, always improving, and always prepared for what comes next. Whether it's adjusting to a new job, dealing with unexpected challenges in personal life, or simply evolving with the changing world around us, learning gives us the tools to face whatever comes our way with confidence and resilience. However, adopting this mindset of lifelong learning isn't always easy. It requires discipline, commitment, and a willingness to step outside of your comfort zone. It may mean taking the time to read books or study new subjects that aren't directly related to your current goals. It might involve seeking out mentors, engaging in deep self-reflection, or even accepting that you don't have all the answers. But the Stoics remind us that these actions are what ultimately lead to growth and wisdom. Stoicism teaches us that the effort we put into improving ourselves, learning new things, and seeking knowledge is never wasted. It's an investment in our future. Additionally, learning isn't limited to intellectual growth. It encompasses emotional and practical learning as well. The Stoics placed a high value on emotional intelligence, self-discipline, and self-reflection. By learning how to manage our emotions, build resilience, and make wise decisions, we not only grow in knowledge but in our ability to live virtuously. Lifelong learning includes the ongoing process of mastering our own thoughts and behaviors, aligning them with our deepest values. In conclusion, the Stoics would argue that true fulfillment and success don't come from reaching a final destination or mastering a single field. Rather, they come from embracing the idea that learning is a continuous, lifelong process. By fostering a mindset of curiosity, being open to new ideas, and seeking growth in all aspects of life, we unlock our full potential. We become more adaptable, more capable, and more resilient in the face of life's challenges. As Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, put it, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live. Every day is an opportunity to learn something new, and by making this an integral part of our lives, we grow into wiser, more virtuous individuals who are prepared to navigate the complexities of the world with grace and wisdom." Number 3, the power of saying no. In a world that constantly demands more of our attention, time, and energy, learning to say no is one of the most important skills we can develop. Whether it's the pressure to attend events, the pull of social media, or requests from friends, family, and colleagues, many men find themselves stretched too thin, trying to meet the needs of everyone else while neglecting their own well-being. The Stoics, however, taught the power of setting clear boundaries and saying no to the things that don't align with our values, priorities, or goals. Saying no is not about being selfish or rude. It's about having the wisdom and courage to protect your most valuable resources, your time, your energy, and your mental health. The Stoics understood that our time is finite, and that we cannot afford to waste it on distractions, obligations, or commitments that don't contribute to our growth, happiness, or well-being. They believed in being deliberate with how we use our time and energy, understanding that every yes means a no to something else, whether it's our personal peace, our goals, or our relationships. Seneca, one of the key Stoic philosophers, warned against overcommitting and spreading oneself too thin. He said, "No man has been made great by taking on many tasks. He becomes great by giving his full attention to one task at a time." This principle is crucial in a world that often encourages multitasking and chasing after the next big thing. We live in an era of constant distractions, emails, notifications, social media, and endless opportunities. But the Stoic approach teaches us that true success and happiness come not from doing more, but from doing what matters most with intention and focus. The ability to say no requires self-awareness. You must first understand your own priorities and values. What do you care most about? What do you want to achieve in your life? What are the things that align with your deeper purpose? When you have a clear sense of your goals and what truly matters to you, it becomes much easier to recognize the things and people that pull you away from your path. One of the most important aspects of saying no is knowing when to protect your energy. In our daily lives, we often encounter people or situations that drain us, whether it's toxic relationships, unnecessary obligations, or negative environments. The Stoics remind us that we cannot control other people's actions, but we can control how we respond and where we direct our attention. If something or someone is draining your energy and not contributing to your well-being or growth, saying no is not just a choice, it's a necessity. Epictetus, another central Stoic figure, said, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." In other words, our discomfort often comes from overcommitting or overextending ourselves, thinking that we must constantly please others or meet every demand. The Stoics would argue that we need to detach ourselves from the external pressures and take control of our own responses. By saying no to the distractions and obligations that don't serve us, we free ourselves to focus on what truly matters: our growth, our well-being, and our purpose. Learning to say no is also about building stronger, more meaningful relationships. When you say yes to everything, you risk spreading yourself too thin, leaving little time for the people and experiences that matter most. However, when you are intentional about where you direct your time and energy, you can invest more deeply in the relationships that truly nourish and support you. Stoicism teaches that true connection comes from quality, not quantity. By learning to say no to superficial commitments, you create more space for the deep, meaningful relationships that enrich your life. It's also important to recognize that saying no isn't just about rejecting external requests. It's about rejecting internal demands that don't align with your goals. This means learning to say no to negative thoughts, unproductive habits, and self-destructive behaviors. The Stoics placed great emphasis on self-discipline and mental clarity. They believed that to live a virtuous life, you must be able to master your desires and impulses, and that includes rejecting the inner voice that urges you to give in to distractions, procrastination, or self-doubt. In practical terms, learning to say no is a skill that requires practice. It means setting clear boundaries, both with others and with yourself. It means prioritizing your time and energy on what matters most, and being willing to turn down requests, invitations, and obligations that don't align with your priorities. Saying no is a way of honoring your commitments to yourself, your health, your growth, your relationships, and your goals. It's a reminder that you are the master of your own life, and you have the power to decide where your attention and energy go. In conclusion, the power of saying no is one of the most valuable tools for leading a fulfilling and meaningful life. By setting boundaries and protecting your time, energy, and mental health, you create space for what truly matters. The Stoics understood that life is too short to waste on distractions, and that true success comes from focusing on what aligns with your values and purpose. By embracing the power of saying no, you can cultivate a life of intentionality, peace, and growth. One where you are in control of your choices and committed to your own well-being. As Seneca wisely said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." By saying no to the things that drain us, we say yes to the things that enrich and fulfill us. Number 4, cultivate deep relationships. In our fast-paced, hyper-connected world, it's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of popularity, the desire to expand our social circles, and the constant stream of acquaintances that fill our digital lives. However, the Stoics understood that true happiness and fulfillment come not from having many connections, but from cultivating deep, meaningful relationships. In fact, they believed that our relationships should be carefully chosen and nurtured, focusing on quality rather than quantity. The Stoics emphasized the importance of close, authentic relationships with a few people who share your values and are committed to supporting each other's growth. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reflected on the value of true friendship and how these relationships contribute to our personal development. He understood that genuine relationships, those grounded in trust, respect, and mutual care, are far more valuable than the fleeting surface-level connections that are all too common in today's world. The Stoics argued that one of the most important aspects of human life is the pursuit of virtue, and that the people we surround ourselves with have a profound influence on our ability to live virtuously. By spending time with people who support and challenge us in meaningful ways, we are better able to grow in wisdom, resilience, and character. In contrast, superficial relationships that are based on shallow interests, competition, or self-serving motives can hinder our growth and distract us from what truly matters. Epictetus, in his teachings, stressed the importance of surrounding ourselves with individuals who encourage us to be our best selves. He noted that true friends are those who help us develop the virtues that lead to a good life: courage, justice, temperance, and wisdom. These kinds of relationships are built on mutual respect, shared principles, and a commitment to each other's well-being. The Stoics believe that by forming and nurturing such relationships, we not only enrich our own lives, but we also contribute to the betterment of society as a whole. In contrast to this, the Stoics warned against toxic relationships and associations that drain us of our energy and divert us from our true purpose. For example, when we surround ourselves with people who are constantly negative, manipulative, or self-centered, we can easily find ourselves caught in unproductive cycles of drama, stress, and frustration. These types of relationships can erode our peace of mind and distract us from our higher goals. The Stoics advise that we should be discerning in who we allow into our lives, and that we must be willing to cut ties with those who do not contribute positively to our journey. Cultivating deep relationships requires intentionality and effort. It's not about how many people we know, but about how deeply we connect with those we choose to invest in. This means being present, genuinely listening, offering support, and being vulnerable with the people who matter most to us. Authentic relationships are built on trust and mutual understanding, and they require time and emotional energy to develop and sustain. The Stoics understood that this kind of deep connection is far more fulfilling than the fleeting pleasures of superficial social interactions. A critical aspect of these deep relationships is the willingness to be vulnerable and show our true selves. In many ways, this is where the Stoics' teachings on emotional resilience come into play. They understood that vulnerability is not a weakness, but rather a source of strength. By opening ourselves up to others, we allow for deeper connections to form, rooted in honesty and mutual respect. True friends are those who accept us for who we are, flaws and all, and challenge us to grow into better versions of ourselves. Moreover, the Stoics recognized that relationships are not just about what we get from others, they are also about what we give. In their view, friendship and close relationships are about serving and supporting others, not just about seeking personal gain. True friends don't expect anything in return. They simply want the best for one another. In this sense, the Stoics viewed relationships as opportunities to practice virtue, whether it's through offering kindness, showing empathy, or helping others in their time of need. While it's easy to get swept up in the social media-driven culture of quantity, where the number of followers or connections on your profile becomes a measure of your worth, the Stoic approach is to focus on the depth of the relationships you have. The quality of your friendships and connections is far more important than how many people you know or how many likes you get on a post. Meaningful relationships bring joy, support, and growth, and they are key to living a fulfilling life. The Stoics also teach us that the most important relationship is the one we have with ourselves. In order to form strong, healthy relationships with others, we must first be at peace with ourselves. Self-awareness, self-compassion, and self-respect are essential components of building strong connections with others. The Stoics believed that in order to truly serve and support those around us, we must be secure in our own sense of self and live in accordance with our values and principles. In conclusion, the Stoic principle of cultivating deep relationships encourages us to focus on the quality of our connections rather than the quantity. By seeking out meaningful relationships with people who share our values, support our growth, and challenge us to be better, we create a network of individuals who help us lead virtuous and fulfilling lives. These relationships are not based on superficial factors or fleeting interests, but on mutual respect, trust, and a shared commitment to personal development. By investing in these deep connections, we enrich our lives and the lives of those around us, fostering a sense of community, belonging, and purpose. As Marcus Aurelius said, "What is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bee." Similarly, the quality of the relationships we form directly impacts the quality of our lives. Therefore, it's essential to prioritize depth over breadth and to choose our connections with care and intention. Number 5, value of time. Over money, time is the most precious commodity we have. Unlike money, which can be earned, saved, or spent and potentially regained, time is finite. Once it's gone forever. Yet, many men fall into the trap of prioritizing money over time, mistakenly believing that financial success will bring them happiness, or that wealth can compensate for a lack of time well spent. The Stoics, however, had a radically different perspective on time. They understood that the value of life lies not in how much we accumulate, but in how wisely we use the time we have. The Stoics saw time as our most valuable resource, and they, believed that we should spend it intentionally, in alignment with our deepest values and purpose. Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This reminder that life is uncertain and short encourages us to live each moment with purpose, to make every decision count, and to direct our energy toward the things that truly matter. Too often we waste time chasing external validation, wealth, or material success, only to find that it doesn't bring the lasting fulfillment we crave. In the pursuit of financial success, many men sacrifice their time, working long hours, missing out on meaningful experiences, and neglecting relationships. While earning money is necessary for survival, the Stoics believed that our ultimate goal should not be wealth accumulation but living a virtuous and fulfilling life. Time spent in pursuit of material possessions or superficial pleasures is time wasted. The Stoics would argue that we should measure our lives by the richness of our experiences, the depth of our relationships, and the strength of our character, not by the size of our bank accounts. Epictetus, another key Stoic philosopher, emphasized that while we cannot control how much money we earn, we do have full control over how we use our time. Time is a resource that cannot be regained, he said, urging us to be mindful of how we spend it. Instead of allowing ourselves to be distracted by unimportant pursuits, we should spend our time on activities that foster our personal growth, contribute to the well-being of others, and align with our long-term goals. For the Stoics, the purpose of life was not to accumulate wealth, but to cultivate virtue, wisdom, and inner peace. One of the greatest dangers of our modern world is the constant bombardment of distractions, social media, entertainment, advertisements, and the pressure to always be doing something. These distractions rob us of our time and attention, pulling us away from what is truly important. The Stoics warned that we must learn to differentiate between what is urgent and what is truly important. Just because something demands our attention doesn't mean it's worth our time. By staying focused on what aligns with our values and long-term objectives, we can avoid falling into the trap of mindless consumption and futile busyness. The Stoic concept of memento mori, which translates to "remember that you will die," serves as a reminder that time is limited. Every day that passes is one day closer to the end of our lives. This powerful reflection encourages us to spend our time wisely, with an understanding that we can never know how much time we have left. It urges us to focus on what brings us genuine joy and fulfillment, and to prioritize the people, activities, and pursuits that align with our higher purpose. The value of time over money also extends to the way we invest in our personal growth. The Stoics believe that investing time in the development of our mind, body, and spirit is far more valuable than accumulating material wealth. For example, dedicating time to reading, learning new skills, meditating, or exercising is a way of enriching our lives that pays dividends far beyond the monetary realm. These investments in our personal growth build resilience, improve our well-being, and ultimately make us better contributors to society. Furthermore, the Stoics understood that our relationships, not our bank accounts, provide the greatest source of meaning and fulfillment. Spending time with loved ones, forming deep friendships, and nurturing meaningful connections is an investment that pays far more than any financial transaction ever could. The time we spend with those we care about is priceless. Yet many men find themselves sacrificing time with family and friends in the pursuit of career success. The Stoics would encourage us to balance our ambitions with an understanding that human connections are irreplaceable and should be prioritized. Another important aspect of valuing time over money is learning to live within our means. The Stoics practiced moderation and self-control, avoiding the temptation to accumulate wealth for its own sake. They understood that true happiness and contentment come not from external possessions, but from internal virtues. When we are content with what we have and avoid the constant chase for more, we can free ourselves from the distractions and anxieties that come with the pursuit of wealth. This allows us to spend more time on what truly matters, without being consumed by the need for more material things. In practical terms, valuing time over money means being intentional with how you allocate your hours. It means saying no to commitments that don't serve your greater purpose, investing time in personal growth, nurturing relationships, and engaging in meaningful activities. It's about finding balance, earning a living while also prioritizing the things that bring you fulfillment and joy. The Stoics would argue that a life well lived is not measured by how much money you accumulate, but by how you use your time to cultivate wisdom, contribute to others, and live virtuously. In conclusion, the Stoic principle of valuing time over money reminds us that time is our most valuable resource and should be treated with the utmost respect. By recognizing the finite nature of time and spending it wisely, we can lead a life that is rich in meaning and fulfillment. The pursuit of wealth should never come at the cost of our well-being, relationships, or personal growth. Instead, we should focus on spending our time on what truly matters, cultivating virtue, investing in our growth, and nurturing the relationships that bring us joy. As Seneca wisely said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." By prioritizing time over money, we can ensure that the time we do have is spent in ways that bring us lasting happiness, peace, and purpose. That's a wrap on these powerful Stoic life lessons. By embracing failure, prioritizing self-care, and accepting what we can't control, we can build a life of resilience and virtue. If you found these insights valuable, make sure to like and subscribe for more practical wisdom. Drop a comment with your thoughts or any Stoic lessons that have impacted you. Thanks for watching, and remember, live virtuously. See you in the next video.